Hey folks, and welcome to another edition of your NASCAR News video blog. Today we'll be looking at this past weekend's race in Dover, what took place between Kurt Busch and reporter Bob Pockrass, and NASCAR's reaction to that, and then look ahead to this weekend's race in Pocono. Just starting off with the Dover race, Jimmie Johnson was clearly confident heading into Sunday's race. Despite coming off a disappointing 11th place finish in Charlotte at the Coca-Cola 600, him and the entire Hendrick organization have been on such a roll since the Darlington race, where they scored the 200th win for team owner Rick Hendrick. This weekend was kind of an interesting one for Jimmy. He had the new movie Madagascar 3 on his car, and as a result of that, had on a rainbow wig pretty much all Sunday leading up to the race, during driver introductions, his pace lap around, saluting the fans. His team members, spotter, were all wearing it as well. So kind of a funny way to bring in the sponsor plug, but also have some fun. Now, was it that he was clearly confident? Was it swagger? Was it silly? Whatever it was, it worked, because Johnson dominated Sunday's race. He led, I believe, 289 of the 400 laps on Sunday, and really the only competition he really had was from teammate Jeff Gordon, who had issues late in the race. But Jimmie Johnson was able to score his 7th win at Dover, his 2nd of the season. That 7th win does tie him for the all-time win list at Dover with Richard Petty and Bobby Allison. I can't imagine any other driver, or any other athlete for that matter, in any other sport, after making such a historic win, climbing out of the car in a rainbow wig and wearing it all throughout the post-race on television, in different media obligations, and really just having fun with the sponsor. This kind of points to the kind of season that Jimmie Johnson is having. Although it didn't get off to a good start in Daytona, he wrecked on lap 2, never really fully got up to speed, and then had issues lingering with potential penalty and suspension for Chad Knaus and car chief Ron Malik. But they won that appeal and never missed a beat. When you take out the Daytona finish and a blown engine at Talladega, their worst finish is 12th at Martinsville, and he led 112 laps there and was in contention to win the race until late race restarts, when Clint Boyer got into him and Jeff Gordon and ruined their day. So what it looks like, Jimmie Johnson is on track to be the favorite for the title. Could it be a 6th championship for Jimmie Johnson? It looks very likely. It looks like he is the driver to beat. But according to Jimmy, it's a little too early in the season to be talking championships or even favorites for the championships. His focus is staying in the top 10 in points, which I don't think he'll have any issue with. I think he's 5th right now. But he said once they get to the first Chicago race, that's really when they're going to start focusing on the title. So Jimmy's dominant day was a solid day for the Hendrick Brigade. Jeff Gordon also had a great day. His car was probably one of the best, probably one of the only cars that could really get up there and contend with Jimmie Johnson. However, late in the run, they did have a loose lug on one of their stops. Was forced to come back to pit road and got caught a lap down and had to work his way back. But luckily, through a little bit of race strategy and just pure what looked to be good luck for Jeff Gordon and the 24 team, when they made that unscheduled stop, they were only going to have to make one more stop until the end of the race, while everybody else was going to have to make 2. They were sitting in the catbird seat, ready to pounce and possibly score that first win for Jeff Gordon this year. And unfortunately, a caution for debris came out and stuck Jeff a lap down. He was able to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap, but not what he was looking for. It seems like this year, if it weren't for bad luck, Jeff Gordon wouldn't have any luck at all. Now the question is, can he turn his season around like Kasey Kahne has? Kasey also had a pretty strong run this weekend. continued his string of top 10 finishes. I believe it's a career-high 7 straight races with top 10 finishes for Kane. Can Jeff Gordon and crew chief Alan Gustafson, get this monkey off their back and be able to work their way back into the top 20 in points and maybe score some wins to enter that wild card chase? We'll see over the next coming weeks. But it's clear that Jimmy Johnson it seems like he's the guy to beat right now in the Sprint Cup Series. Although he's 5th in points, he's not the points leader. That goes to Greg Biffle, who was able to maintain a very slim points lead over teammate Matt Kenseth. But it looks like that 48 team is really firing on all cylinders, and they are the guys to beat heading into the summer stretch. While Jimmy Johnson's focused on beating the competition, this weekend Kurt Busch was focused on beating up reporters. Following Saturday's nationwide race, in which Busch and Justin Allgaier had multiple incidents, Kurt brought up the fact that he was on probation during his television interview, mentioning that because he's on probation, he can't even, quote, pick his nose right. Following that television interview, Sporting News reporter Bob Pockrass asked Busch if being on probation caused him to race Justin Allgaier differently. His response to that, to paraphrase, was, being on probation keeps me from beating the expletive out of you right now. Obviously, this was a sticky situation for everybody involved. Bob's question was a very legitimate question. It was a racing question. Bob's one of the best in the business, one of the most hardworking, dedicated, straightforward news guys in the media, and very well respected in the garage and throughout NASCAR. And Busch's comments to Bob kind of caught me off guard, and I think it surprised a lot of people. But NASCAR met with Kurt. I'm sorry, on Sunday prior to the race. He had no comment after meeting with NASCAR. He struggled mightily in the race. He was nabbed for speeding on pit road twice, and just had an all-around rough day in James Finch's number 51. Fast forward to Monday. Usually NASCAR, if they're going to do anything, they usually, in terms of fines or penalties or anything like that, typically they'll wait till Tuesday. But NASCAR used Twitter to announce on Monday afternoon that they were suspending Kurt Busch until June 13th. So he will not be in this weekend's race at Pocono. He's not allowed to go to the truck race in Texas, and his probation has been extended till the end of the year. This was NASCAR coming down pretty hard on a driver that has been fined $50,000 twice within a short amount of time since Homestead of last year. Earlier today, James Finch spoke with the Morning Drive on NASCAR Sirius Radio, saying that he plans on putting David Rudiman in the 51 car for this weekend's race in Pocono, and he plans on meeting with Kurt Busch in the coming weeks to have a face-to-face meeting and figure out where they're going to go. Finch essentially said that Kurt has some issues that he needs to work through, and if he can't work through them, he's not going to be part of that team. He doesn't want to be on a sinking ship, and Finch doesn't want to own the ship that Busch is piloting as it's sinking, so to speak. So we might see some more shakeup with Kurt Busch. He was in discussion to be in rides at possibly Joe Gibbs Racing and Richard Childress. Those two teams have been mentioned for the 2013 season, but with a suspension, yet possibly another fine, a lot more negative attention to Kurt Busch now. It's going to be hard to attract sponsors and teams that really want to pick up that liability. Was NASCAR justified in fining or suspending Busch for comments made to a reporter? I don't know. I don't really think NASCAR was defending the media here in this case. This isn't the first time that Busch has gone after media. He had his very famous issue at Homestead last year with Dr. Jerry Punch from ESPN. that incident was caught on amateur video and sent viral all through YouTube, resulting in a $50,000 fine for Busch, and which led to his departure from Penske Racing. He also had issues at Richmond prior to the chase, last race of the regular season last year. He had to be physically restrained by multiple crew members from going after NASCAR.com's Joe Menzer for asking a similar question that had just been asked on television and on the radio broadcast. Following that incident, he popped into the media center, continued to his tirade, continued to try to go after Joe Menzer, and then later in the night ripped up a transcript of another reporter, the AP's Jenna Fryer. So this isn't a one-time issue, and I think that's what NASCAR was looking at here. And I think this was NASCAR essentially telling Kurt Busch that enough is enough, and you might be a Sprint Cup champion, but you are not bigger than the sport, and you need to learn a lesson. Now, whether he learns a lesson or not, that's yet to be seen. We thought maybe the issue, a lot of people thought the issue at Homestead, losing his ride with Penske Racing, that might teach him a lesson, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So it'd be interesting to see how this issue with Kurt Busch and Phoenix Racing and the future, really, of Kurt Busch's Sprint Cup Series career, how that unfolds over the coming weeks. So, but he will not be in the car this weekend at Pocono. So look for David Rudiman to pilot that number 51. I don't think that's going to be a permanent swap. We also heard Brian Vickers' name mentioned as a possibility for the 51. He's currently over in Europe running the Le Mans. He's running a sport car over in Le Mans. So he was unavailable for this weekend. But whether or not he will be in the car in the future, that's yet to be determined. So. But leaving the Busch issue behind, we're going to look ahead to this weekend's race up in Pocono. This Pocono has recently been repaved, so they did a lot of testing up there in the beginning parts of the season. The reports are it's a very, very fast racetrack. Speeds are way up over years past because of the new asphalt. Anytime you repave, there is going to be a pickup in speed, lots of grip. So we'll see that this weekend. NASCAR is opening up the track for testing on Wednesday and Thursday for all teams. So there'll be a lot of media stuff coming out of there. Look for drivers to be talking about the conditions leading up to the race. So if you play fantasy racing, make sure you're paying attention to that, just to kind of get you gauged to what's going to be going on this weekend up at Pocono. Also, pretty cool news came out yesterday was the race up in Pocono will actually be sponsored by the new #NASCAR page. This is a new project partnership between Twitter and NASCAR. First time Twitter's ever done this with any sort of major sport, where they will set up a new NASCAR hashtag page, which will debut this weekend up, which essentially streamlines all the NASCAR tweets. You'll see driver tweets, you'll see tweets from media members, crew members, car owners, drivers' wives and girlfriends, industry insiders, as well as fan tweets. You'll be able to see different pictures and essentially be like an alternate broadcast and also an insider's view into what it goes on throughout the weekend at a NASCAR event. So pretty cool new tool for fans and for everybody in the sport in general, and it's something I think that's really going to add to the coverage of the sport. Also, this weekend's race marks the start of TNT's portion of the season, broadcasting the Sprint Cup races. And what comes along with that is you will have the Race Buddy feature on NASCAR.com, extended post-race interviews with drivers and other people following the race on NASCAR.com, plus the full throttle or wide open, whatever they call it, during the Pepsi 400 or the Coke Zero 400 at Daytona for the July 4th race. So it'll be interesting to see how TNT handles this season. Fox had some issues, but overall did a pretty good job with their coverage. So it'll be interesting to see how TNT does with their block of the races. So it's been a pretty interesting week so far in the world of NASCAR news. I'm sure there's more to come this week. So be sure to follow me on Twitter at JWPennell. And as always, I encourage you to send your comments, your critiques, and just stop by and say hey. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for reading, and have a great day.